The torches flicker against stone walls. You stand in the heart of ancient Rome. A senator's voice trembles as he speaks too freely, daring to utter truths about power, corruption, and the cruelty of an emperor who tolerates no dissent. The crowd stares in silence, knowing that words can cost a life. One sentence too honest, one truth too sharp, and tomorrow, his body may be found floating in the Tiber. Centuries later, in Florence, another man sharpens his pen. Niccolò Machiavelli writes not of virtue, but of survival. He warns rulers that honesty is a luxury they cannot afford. Men are ungrateful, fickle, simulators, deceivers, he writes. His words drip with brutal clarity, honesty about dishonesty itself. And yet, this honesty makes him dangerous, exiled, tortured, cast aside. Two worlds. Two men. Two philosophies colliding across time. Seneca, the Stoic, who whispers that honesty is a path to inner freedom, even under a tyrant's shadow. Machiavelli, the realist, who insists that too much honesty can destroy you in politics and life. Carl Jung says, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But what if being who you are costs you everything? What if honesty itself becomes a weapon against you?" This is the dilemma that echoes through centuries. The peril of speaking truth. The danger of being too honest. You have stepped into the realm where philosophy bleeds into politics, where words become as deadly as swords. This is legend's legacy, where the ideologies of history's greatest minds clash in a battle for meaning, power, and survival. So tell me, whose voice would you follow? Seneca's virtue, or Machiavelli's realism? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more journeys into the minds of legends. The marble halls of Rome echo with contradictions. You see Seneca, tutor and advisor to the young Emperor Nero, a man who writes with piercing clarity about virtue, honesty, and the freedom of the soul. His words spread like whispers of light in a world of shadows. He who is brave is free. Yet behind his calm philosophy lies a dangerous stage, where every word could be twisted into treason. Seneca's Stoicism insists that truth is not about pleasing others, it is about aligning yourself with nature, with reason, with the eternal order of things. To him, honesty is not simply telling facts, it is living authentically, refusing to be enslaved by fear or greed. In his writings, you find a call to courage, to speak what is right, even when silence is safer. And yet, you watch him sit in Nero's court, forced to flatter the very man whose cruelty he despises. The philosopher who preaches integrity is compelled to play politics, to survive by silence when honesty could mean death. Here lies the wound at the heart of Seneca's story. Can a man preach truth while living in compromise? Nietzsche later would sneer, calling him a hypocrite, a philosopher trapped in golden chains. But perhaps you feel the weight of his dilemma. In a world ruled by tyrants, can any man be fully honest without paying the price? Seneca himself admitted, "We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there would be no end of them." His honesty about life's brevity forces you to ask, if time is so short, why waste it on lies? But can such honesty endure when the emperor listens? The streets of Florence run with suspicion. Families rise and fall overnight, daggers flash in alleyways, and loyalty shifts with the weight of a bribe. You stand in a city torn by war and intrigue, where one careless act of honesty can mark you for exile, or execution. It is here that Niccolò Machiavelli watches, studies, and writes. Unlike Seneca, Machiavelli does not cloak his ideas in virtue. He strips the mask from human behavior and forces you to confront the raw truth. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both, he declares. To him, honesty is not a moral obligation but a weapon, one to be used, or hidden, when survival demands it. In The Prince, he warns rulers that men are not guided by noble ideals but by hunger, fear, and ambition. To be too honest, he says, is to be vulnerable. A ruler who keeps every promise, who trusts too easily, will be crushed by those who deceive. And so, Machiavelli's honesty is paradoxical. He is honest about dishonesty, truthful about deception, brutally clear about the masks we wear. You picture him, a civil servant stripped of power, thrown into exile after Florence's political tides turned against him. Tortured, humiliated yet unbroken, he pours his bitterness into ink. His words burn with disillusionment. Honesty has no place in politics unless it serves the purpose of power. Where Seneca urges you to live authentically, Machiavelli warns you to survive strategically. His realism feels darker, but perhaps also closer to the truth. After all, how many leaders today rule with masks instead of hearts? How many survive by deception dressed as honesty? Here lies the collision, Seneca's inner freedom against Machiavelli's ruthless survival. Two figures stand before you, Seneca in his white toga, Machiavelli with his ink-stained hands. One whispers of virtue, the other of survival. Between them lies the battlefield of honesty itself. For Seneca, truth is a sacred duty. To deny it is to betray your own soul. He believed that even under Nero's cruelty, the wise man could remain free within, untouched by fear. But his life tells another story. His silence before tyranny, his wealth gathered while preaching simplicity, these contradictions gnaw at his legacy. Was he honest with himself, or did he become the very mask he despised? Machiavelli, by contrast, scoffs at such purity. He sees honesty as dangerous in a world ruled by betrayal. To him, it is not the soul but survival that matters. He urges you to calculate, to decide when honesty strengthens power and when it must be abandoned. His honesty lies in admitting the ugliness of human nature, refusing the comforting illusions that Seneca clung to. And yet, both men suffered for their truths. Seneca, forced to open his veins in a stoic death when Nero demanded it. Machiavelli, tortured and cast aside for daring to write with too much candor. Their fates remind you that honesty, whether in philosophy or politics, rarely escapes punishment. Carl Jung warns, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved but only outgrown." Perhaps the problem of honesty is not to choose Seneca or Machiavelli, but to live in the tension between them. To be true without being naive. To be strategic without losing yourself. Now the question falls to you, in your life, would you risk everything for virtue, or bend the truth for survival? The torches of Rome have long burned out. The streets of Florence lie silent. Yet the voices of Seneca and Machiavelli still reach you, whispering in your own choices. When to speak, when to stay silent, when to stand by truth, and when to bend it to survive. History does not hand you simple answers. It hands you questions that burn. Seneca shows you the dignity of inner freedom. Machiavelli exposes the brutal necessity of masks. And somewhere between them lies the path you must walk. Whose wisdom would you carry into your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your voice in this debate. And if the clash of great minds stirs something in you, subscribe to Legends Legacy. More journeys await.